Hi, everyone. It's nice to be here with you again. I hope you are well. Welcome to the Spirit Guide Show. Let me know if you can see me and hear me. That would be great. So then we can get started. Just type yes, I can hear you, or no, I can't hear you. Great. Thanks, Alicia and everyone. Good to know. All right. So also, let me know where you're from. I already saw that lots of you typed that into the chat. That's great. We have Cindy from Oxford, and we have Sandy from New Orleans, and we have Mardell from Northern California. Hi. We have Taylor from Indiana. I hope I say your name right. Alicia is here. Ciel is here from Andalusia. We have Maureen from New York. Michelle from Santa Cruz, California. We have Rick from Indiana. Oh, and he joined us because friends told him about this. Awesome. Say hi to your friends from me. Maria is here from Northern California. Hi, Maria. Maishen from Southern California. We have Lisa from Northern, I think that's Minnesota. I'm not from the US, but I know most of the abbreviations for the states, but not all of them. We have George from Southern California, Karen from Florida, lots of US people here today. Alicia from South Carolina, Evie from Washington. Hi, Evie. And Lima from Florida. Awesome to have everyone here. Welcome. So this month's theme for the Spirit Guide Show, because I decided every month is going to have a theme. This month's theme is laying the foundations of Spirit Guide communication. So it's not yet the actual communication, it's laying the foundations, because Spirit Guide communication is a process. It's not something that you can learn in an hour. And so I want to take you through this over the next few weeks and maybe even months, step by step by step. So all episodes of the Spirit Guide show throughout April are dedicated to this theme, laying the foundations of Spirit Guide communication, and culminate in a live workshop on May 3rd, during which you will practically apply what you learned throughout the month. And the goal is to lay the foundations on which you can build a relationship with your own spirit guides. So I hope you're excited about that and you will come back. So, and we do this so that they can help you to step deeper into your purpose and make this world a better place for yourself, your families, your communities, and the world at large. And you will receive all the relevant info via email every Saturday, one day before the show goes live, so that you know and you can come and join us. So today is the second episode in our new episode series. And you can find the first one, which is titled Is Being a Spirit Worker Part of Your Calling? You can find that here at this link that I just posted in the chat in case you're interested. So that would be, is being a spirit worker part of your calling? And that's what we talked about last week, because first we needed to set the stage in the sense that you need to know that this is something you want to do, and you want to work with spirit, and specifically your spirit guides, to make your life better and that of others as well. So today we will cover the following: the difference between mental health issues, making things up in your own mind, using your imagination, and real spirit guide communication. Again, this is one of the foundations of spirit guide communication. You need to know, like, am I making this up or is this real? And this is one of the main questions that everyone has. I get it all the time. So today, that's what we're going to answer. Because otherwise, if you do the exercise and practices that we will do during the workshop, you will basically sabotage yourself by constantly thinking, oh, I'm just making this up. Oh, this is not real. And we don't want that, right? So, right. So today, the first question I'm going to answer is the difference between mental health issues, making things up in your own head, and real spirit guide communication. Then the second question is how to know which camp you fall into. Am I making things up? Do I have mental health issues? Is this real, what I'm experiencing? And then the third question is, how to make sure you don't go down the wrong path in the future. So you don't start making things up, basically. And then in the second part of the show, as always, we'll do Q&A, so you can ask me questions about what we just talked about or about spirit guides in general, and I will be happy to answer any questions I can't answer. And please remember, everything is from my perspective and my experience. It doesn't mean that I know everything. I definitely don't. I'm just a human being, just like you. So I can only speak from my perspective. So take everything with a grain of salt, take what makes sense to you and leave the rest. Then in the third part, we're going to do mini readings, which means that I will, spirit and I will pick some people and I will give mini readings, connect you with your spirit guides and give you messages from them. But before we start, let me introduce myself in case you don't know me yet. My name is Jamila Jemunja, and I'm a spirit guide medium, which means that I can sense other people's spirit guides and connect them. And I'm also a Hay House author. I'm still in the process of writing my book. Well, it's written, but now we're like in the editing phase. And it will be published by Hay House in October. And you can find me at thespiritguidemedium.com, and I will put that in the chat as well. There you go. And yeah, here's a question for you. Let me know in the chat if you ever wondered if an experience that you had, like a psychic experience, intuitive experience, was real or if you made it all up in your own head. Did you ever wonder if you just made it all up or if it was real? Type yes or no in the chat and let me know. And I would guess that most of you have had that question before. Sandy says yes, Karen says yes, Pat says yes, Alicia, Mason, Eileen, George, Beth, Bavia, Tela all say yes. So is there anyone who's never wondered? I want to know. Type no in the chat if you've never wondered, if you were always sure that this was the real thing. And I want to tell you right away, it's normal to wonder. When I do readings, and nowadays I'm a professional, like spirit guide medium. This is how I make my living. And sometimes I still wonder. And here's the trick, and I shouldn't tell you this because this is coming later, but here's the trick. I just don't listen to that part of myself. I just like, there's this part of myself that will be like, oh, you're just making this up. And I just don't listen because from experience, I know that I can do it. Anyway, that's just for now. So where are we? Right. While you're at it, please share this with anyone who might be interested in this topic and watching the show with you today. So there's a share button. I think for you guys, it's up here. It basically says share. You can click on there and invite people to come over and join us. Also, if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, there's a link in the description, either above or below, depending on where you're watching. Come on over to my website, because only here can I answer your questions. Only here can I give you a reading later. I can't monitor all the social networks that we're live streaming to. So you will have to click that link, come on over, and then you can actually participate. All right, if you have any tech issues, reload the page, refresh the page. That usually solves the problem. So if suddenly the sound is gone or something happens, just refresh the page and that should solve the problem. All right, enough of housekeeping. Let's get started. So the first question was, how do I know that my experiences aren't a sign of mental health issues? Well, a 2015 study from Harvard Medical School found that 5% of the general population experience seeing or hearing things that are not physically there at some point in their lives. So that's 5% of the population who see or hear things that are not physically there. Other studies talk about up to 28% of any general population. So we don't know how many it is, but it's somewhere between 5 and 28% of all people have these kinds of experiences. While these people are stigmatized in Western culture, such phenomena can be an important part of some people's religious or spiritual beliefs. There's a lot of, as you probably know, religions and spiritual traditions out there who make this part of their traditions. People talk to God, people talk to angels, people talk to all kinds of beings. So it's part of it. And many people regard these experiences as positive part of their life, like I do. I talk to spirits. I think it's awesome. Carl Jung, for example, the famous psychologist, had regular conversations with his imaginary friend Philemon. That's his name, Philemon, during his adult years. So he was an adult just like us. He was an accomplished, he was very accomplished in what he did. He wrote books, everyone loved him, and he had an imaginary friend that he talked to. So of course, it can also be a sign of course, it can also be a sign of psychotic disorders such as schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, major depressive disorder, PTSD, etc. Carl Jung obviously didn't have that. I don't think I have that, but some people have mental health issues. And so hearing voices can be part of that, or seeing things that are not there. So it can also be part of other non-mental health related problems such as Parkinson's disease, narcolepsy, dementia, brain tumors, and epilepsy. But all these cases only account for a small percentage of people reporting such phenomena as hearing voices and seeing things. Symptoms of mental health problems, schizophrenia in particular, just so you understand, like if your experiences, if you think maybe your experiences might be based on mental health issues, here is how you know. So the symptoms of mental health problems include, it usually starts between the age of 16 and 30. It's usually a gradual change before obvious symptoms start. So before you hear voices, there are other gradual changes happening that you shouldn't be aware about. You can have delusions, like you think you're Jesus Christ or a famous actor. You might have thought that you can fly. You think the FBI is out to get you. People have confused talk that doesn't seem to make sense. One can have movement disorders, make the same movement over and over again, or become catatonic. There's a lack of pleasure, trouble with speech, dull, flat-sounding voice, apathy. Sometimes people stop bathing and taking care of themselves, and they have a general lack of interest in daily life, and maybe even suicidal thoughts and behavior. So if you don't show any of these symptoms, but you've heard voices or you've seen things, or if you've had psychic experiences, like you knew what other people were thinking or had prophetic dreams or whatever it is, if you didn't show any of the symptoms we just discussed, you are probably fine. I'm obviously not a medical professional, so if you're not sure if you have these symptoms and you're not sure, please go consult a doctor. But if you have none of these symptoms, you're probably fine, and your experiences are probably not based on mental health issues. So then how do I know that I'm not just making things up with my imagination? So we said, okay, if you're probably okay on the mental health issue front. If you have any doubt, go see a doctor. Now, the second thing is, how do I know that I'm not just making things up with my imagination? So the second possibility, like we said, when you experience seeing and hearing things that are not physically there, is that you have a vivid imagination. This is often with children, like when children come and tell you, I've seen a dragon at night, or grandpa came to visit me, and you know grandpa died 2 years ago, so you're like, that kid has a vivid imagination. And especially if we hear that a lot as children, we still think that way. Oh, maybe I'm just making that up. However, imagination and psychic ability are closely linked. It is often through the channels of the imagination that psychic ability emerges. So if you have a very vivid imagination, the possibility that you also have psychic abilities is very strong. So do not dismiss your imagination. It's an important part of your psychic abilities and your psychic experiences. And by the way, when I say psychic, like I'm talking about anything that you pick up on outside of like the physical. So if you, like we said, hear voices that are not there, if you see things that are not there, if you smell things that are not there, if you feel things that are not there, that's what I mean by psychic. So don't be freaked out by that. There are way more people that have psychic experiences than you would think. You do not have to be a professional psychic, medium, witch, shaman, healer, or anything to experience these things. So, but just to be clear, symptoms that you're imagining things, so it's not maybe not real, but you're making it up, can be that your thoughts start with I versus you. So what I'm trying to say with this is that oftentimes when we have thoughts, they might actually not be our own. They might be our spirit guides talking to us. And you can make a differentiation, or this is one way to make the differentiation if it's your own thought, or if it's like your spirit guides talking to you, is if you think I should be doing this, then it's usually you. If someone says you could be doing this, or maybe it's a good idea if you do this, then it can be your spirit guides. So pay attention to that. This is not a 100% silver bullet kind of way to always make sure, but it's one sign that you can use. Or if the voice in your head speaks as we love that you are so creative. That's obviously not you saying that, unless you refer to yourself like that, but most people don't. So if you hear a thought that starts with we, it's usually your guides. The second symptom that you're making things up is if messages are based on fear, not love. So if a thought is fear-based, it's absolutely never your spirit guides, because your spirit guides operate from a 100% love-based reality. There's one exception. If you are in danger and you suddenly hear a voice saying, either outside of yourself or inside your head, a voice saying something like, turn left now, then it could be that you're in danger and one of your guides is telling you to do something about it. However, your guides will never say something like, you will die now, or you will die tomorrow, or something like this. They don't do that. They might warn you of danger, but they will always give you a solution, because it's love-based, not fear-based. So they will say, turn left now, because if you turn right, you might be mugged, for example. But if you turn left, you will be okay. So they come with a solution. They warn you, but they give you a solution at the same time. But they will never say something like, you're going to die tomorrow. These kinds of thoughts are fear-based, and they are you, usually. It's not your guides. Another way to know that it's not your guide speaking, that you are probably making it up, is if the message makes you feel bad, is discouraging, or belittles you. again, your spirit guides would never do that. That's not how they operate. That's not what they do, because they are connected to you in unconditional love. So they do not want to make you feel bad, discourage you, or belittle you. If you have thoughts like that, it might be your ego that's like fear-based and maybe picked up on subliminal messages from your childhood, or something else is going on, but it's not your guides. Also, and we just talked about this already, thoughts of worst case scenarios without a solution, not your guides. If you are afraid that maybe, I don't know, your entire family and you are going to be murdered tomorrow, that is not your guide speaking to you. Absolutely not. They wouldn't say something like this. Again, if they want to warn you, they will give you a solution. Also, if something or someone, if there's a message that asks you to have faith in its accuracy but makes no sense at all, do not listen. Again, not your guides. If your guides would never tell you to go sit on the train tracks and wait until the train comes. It doesn't make any sense. And they would never say do it and trust me. It's just, they would never say go sit on the tracks and just trust, because I'm your spirit guide and then everything will be all right. No, that's not how it works. They would never do that. So if something like this happens, again, it's not your guides. I'm sorry that I'm like coming on with all these crazy, scary scenarios, but I want to make it really clear that your guides will never do something like this. Again, they are love-based. They come from a love-based reality. They're connected to you in unconditional love. They want the best for you. So any kind of messages that steer you on a negative path, that make you feel bad, cannot come from your spirit guides. Then here's also when it can also be your imagination if you are trying too hard. So let's say you are doing a meditation and you're trying to connect with your spirit guides, and then you have let's say you see an image of a spirit guide, but sometimes you're making it up because you're trying too hard. So you, for example, you like Kuan Yin, and so you kind of like conjure up an image of her because you want her to be your guide. That happens sometimes. Totally fine. Don't worry about it. But then it can be your imagination. Yes, Ed says trying too hard. This is the hardest one, definitely. But that's, and we will talk about this in a second, but that's mostly about practice. You don't worry too much about these things. Also, if it feels forced, again, similar example, if you conjure up images with your mind and you can really literally feel yourself conjuring it up, it might be your imagination. But again, don't worry too much about it. And then, of course, last but not least, if any kind of rich, quick themes do not come from your spirit guides. And this is kind of a funny one, but they are not going to tell you to, I don't know, scam people to make money. They would never do that. So these are signs that it might absolutely not be your guides, but that you either your ego is making it up or something else is going on. So now, how do you recognize real messages from your spirit guides opposed to mental health issues or making things up? Well, you will recognize that if it appears out of nowhere, like a message appears out of nowhere. You've been thinking about something completely different, like what are you going to eat for lunch? And then suddenly you get a message. That is a very good sign that it's coming from your guides. Again, if it's a love-based message. Also, if messages repeat themselves again and again and again, it might be your guides who are like, hey, you should go in this direction in life because that will make you happy. And your ego's like, no, I don't want to. And they come again next week. Hey, look, there's an awesome opportunity for you over there. Go in that direction. So if they keep pushing you lovingly in a certain direction, that's a good sign that it's your guides. Also, another sign is that right when it happens, you know it's real. So how do I explain this better? So when something happens, for example, you have suddenly an intuitive insight, or you suddenly have an image of what's going to happen in the future. In that moment, you know that it's real. You always do. It's only later, sometimes just a few seconds later, that doubt sets in and your logical mind starts tearing it apart and saying, oh, I'm just making this up. Oh, this can't be real. But if in that moment it feels right, you can trust it. And that's the second thing that's really hard, trusting yourself, trusting your own intuition, trusting your psychic abilities, trusting that what you experience is real. And again, that's about practice. So when you think back to things that have happened to you and now you're not sure, I don't know, did I make it up? Think about what it felt like in that moment. Did it feel real? Did you have, for example, did you get really hot or really cold, or did you get like the shivers or something that tells you this was real? Then trust it. Also, if it's really your guides, it feels natural. If they talk to you in visions or dreams or images, they're usually more vivid than usual. Well, not usually, they can be more vivid than usual, especially in dreams. Some of you are totally into dreams. I know Evie is a lucid dreamer, as we discovered last time. And she can probably tell you that, like, yeah, these dreams are more vivid than others. Another sign that it's your guides is that what you see or hear or the message that you're getting makes sense for your life. So, for example, you're struggling with, I don't know, school, and your message is about school and gives you a solution to the problem that you have at school, then it's probably your spirit guides. Then there's another sign, which is a very obvious one, but if you can verify it in some way. So if your guides give you a message like your grandfather appears at the bottom of your bed in the middle of the night and tells you that your mom, when she was 5, used to suck her thumb or something. And then you go ask your mom about it. And she says, how do you know that? Because dad died 50 years ago. Well, that's not possible. Let's say 10 years ago. Then you know, okay, this was like a real thing because I got verifiable information. Another sign, if it's real, is that it takes you a while to come back to reality after the experience, like you are somewhere else, like a little bit like you're waking up from a dream. That can be a good sign as well, because oftentimes when spirit guides connect with us, we are already in a slight, like almost trance that makes it easier for them to connect with us. And so when we're already in this dreamy state, maybe we're sitting in a park and the sun is shining and you're already like a little like, ooh, and then they can come in and connect with you easily. And so then it feels after the experience like you're coming out of something, or as if you were in the water and you're coming back up. That's always a sign that something actually happened. Another sign is if your vision or message or whatever it is service oriented, which means like if it is something that lets you step deeper into your purpose, something that encourages you to help others, to be of service in some way. Again, your spirit guides are love-based on a love-based reality. So anything that makes you feel loved or encourages you to spread love can come from your spirit guides. In the same vein, if like your message or the experience has a central theme of helping yourself or others, again, good sign that it's coming from your guides. Or if like the message is positive and empowering, also good sign that it's from your guides. Or if it feels like someone else is talking to you, even if it sounds like your own voice. So that is like very common, and people don't realize that it's their spirit guides talking to them. And this is how it works. So usually, you know how you talk to yourself in your own head. Like, for example, if I ask you to remember the last conversation you had with someone, like take 10 seconds now to remember the last conversation you had with someone. And in that conversation, what was the last sentence you said? See how you hear your own voice inside your own head? And how like the person you were talking to in that last conversation, how you hear that person's voice in your own head? Sometimes your guides will talk to you just like that, just like you are remembering something. So they are like a voice in your head. And oftentimes we think it's just us thinking that thought, but it's actually your guides talking to you. So, yeah, if it feels like someone else is talking to you, even if it sounds like your own voice, it can be your spirit guides. Then another sign that it's real is if the message relates to a current challenge or question you have. That's very similar to what we said earlier. So if you're going through a divorce and the message you're getting is about your divorce and helping you through that divorce, it's like an insight that you have that maybe helps you to let go of anger and resentment. That's a good sign that it's your guides. Also, if you can't change the image or whatever it is that you're experiencing, so let's say it's a inner vision that you have, and that inner vision is like, oftentimes this happens like a movie. You kind of like see like a movie, and then you try to change it, and you can't. Then it's a very obvious sign that it's not coming from you, but from your guides. And then also, and I think this is the last one. If you are, again, before something happens, you get like a signature or calling card that is particular to your spirit guide. And this is more for advanced people, people that have taken classes with me or whatever. You know what a calling card is, so but I'll explain it. So the calling card is like when your spirit guide is around, they kind of announce themselves with their calling card. And oftentimes this can be something like you suddenly get really hot, you suddenly get really cold, the air around you suddenly feels denser, you get the shivers, your eye starts twitching. It can be all kinds of things. That's very personal to everyone, very individual. You can find out, but that's not the topic for today. But if you already know the calling card that your spirit guide has and gives you when they're around, and that happens, and then you get a message, then you know for sure it's your spirit guides and you're not making it up. In the end, it's about practice. Practice will teach you if something is authentic or if you are making it up. In the beginning, you won't always get it right. Sometimes you're not absolutely 100% sure. Did I make it up? Was it my spirit guides? And that's okay. Just like any other skill, spirit guide communication needs to be practiced to become good at it. You just like riding a bike. If you remember learning to ride a bike, you fell off pretty often in the beginning. And the same thing will happen when it comes to connecting with your spirit guides. You will not be perfect at it right from the start. You will fall off your bike a few times, and that's okay. So even if you make something up with your imagination, that's fine. Your guides are there either way, and they will help you steer you back into the right direction. And oftentimes they will use your imagination to help you. Even if you're making things up, they will put their message in there. So don't worry too much about making things up. And that's also one reason why I'm offering this workshop on May 3rd. So you can actually put into practice what you are learning throughout the month. So so you can practice, because practice makes perfect. So don't expect any miracles right away, and be patient with yourself. But I think the tips that I gave you today will definitely steer you in the right direction. And the rest, like I said, is practice. So let me know, do you feel more confident now that you know the difference, or that you know what camp you fall into? So if your experiences might have been triggered by mental health issues, if they might be like imaginary, or if they were real. Let me know if you feel more confident now. Type yes or no in the chat. And then yeah, we can answer questions in a second. So Sandy says yes, she feels more confident. Meishan says yes. Bhavya says yes. Cindy says yes, very helpful. Thank you. You're very welcome. Michelle says yes. Karen says yes. Marion says yes. Damon says thank you. This was very helpful. Awesome. Pat says yep. Eileen says yes. Thiel says yes. Lots of yeses. That's great. If you are still unclear, you can ask me questions in a second. All right. So also, if you want to learn more about spirit guide communication, how to connect with your spirit guides, how to connect with your spirit guides to make this world a better place for yourself and others, I'm in the process of building a community called Spirit Guide Society. This is not going to be on Facebook. And it's bringing together spiritual seekers, light workers, spirit workers, and spiritual activists who are on a quest to create a close relationship with their spirit guides. And the purpose of this community is to develop our spiritual gifts, psychic gifts. And everyone has psychic gifts, by the way, everyone. So to develop our psychic gifts, live with purpose every day, and design a better world in 2020 and beyond for ourselves and others. So again, the community is for people who want to connect with their spirit guides to create a better world for everyone. If this sounds like something you're interested in, then click that green button below. And again, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you will have to come over here to see that green button. So click the link in the description, then come on over here to find the green button that says follow your spirit guides call. Click on that, and then it will take you to a page on my website where you can sign up for the wait list for Spirit Guide Society. You don't have to pay anything or anything like that. You just sign up for the wait list, and then I will let you know when it opens up. If you sign up, you will also get a 25% discount code for a spirit guide reading with me. And more about that later. So now, if you have any questions, then please find the Ask a Question section. It's also, again, over here. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, come on over here. It's right below the green button. If you're on your laptop or desktop, if you are on your phone, there's a little button with a question mark in it. Click on that and then ask your questions there, because the chat is too fast sometimes and I can't keep up and I can't see all the questions. So please go to the Ask a Question section. That's either below the green button, it literally says Ask a Question, or find the little button with a question mark on your phone. Go there and ask the question there, please. All right, so let's see if you guys have questions. So people have questions about their spirit guides. That's who their spirit guide is. That's not what we're doing right now. That's later. Cindy has a tech question. She says, why my icon is on the right and everyone, that's so you can recognize your own yourself. Like if you type something, then you see right away that's you. I don't know. That's just how it works. Right. Ed actually answered that question. Thank you, Ed. Messages from spirit guides. We will do that later. Rick says, I was shown my mother was going to be really sick and I saw everything, including the hospital bed blanket pattern. How does this fit in? What do you mean with how does this fit in? It's probably either your higher self getting you ready for that phase of your life so you can be strong and help your mother, or your spirit guides for the same reason. I'm not sure if that answers your question. If not, let me know. Bhavya says, I saw Lord Shiva and a white tiger during my meditation. What does that mean? Before you ask someone else, what does that mean? And this is true for any kind of psychic experience. Ask yourself, what does that mean to me? What does Lord Shiva mean to me? What does Lord Shiva represent for me? Because when we see these kinds of things, the meaning is very personal. For example, and I always use the same example, generally in our culture, we associate a red rose with romantic love. However, if you dream of a red rose, that does not necessarily mean that it has to do with romantic love. It maybe you associate red roses with your grandma because she loved red roses. And so for you, when you dream about red roses, it could mean that your grandma came in your dream and wanted to say hello. For someone else, it might mean that it has to do with romantic love. So first think about, what does a white tiger mean to you? What does Lord Shiva mean to you? And then once you figure that out for yourself, trust yourself and trust that like what your intuition tells you is right. Then you can go and ask someone else, like a psychic, a medium. You can go look up the symbolism online or in a dream book, wherever. But first, ask yourself, what does it mean to me? And Bhavya says, then I was asked to be courageous. Well, there you go. That's what it means. Be courageous. You answer your own question. Andrew says, or asks, can guides keep their names from you in the sense that they're hiding it? Yes and no, like not in the sense that they want like to annoy you, not like that, but in a sense that they might not want to tell you a name because they don't want you to focus so much on human needs, like having a name. Because most spirit guides do not have human names. Why would they have human names? They are not human, most of them. Some of them might have been human, but now they're not anymore. So they don't need that. They work with energy frequencies. So every being in the world and outside of the physical world has an energy frequency. I have one, you have one, and they're different. So if we are sensitive enough, and all spirit guides are, they can recognize each other and us by our frequencies. They don't need names. So if they do not want to give you a name, oftentimes that means that they want you to let go of these like human concepts, like names, and just want you to focus on feeling their energy and knowing them by their energy. That's what I have learned, because when I do readings for people, I often do get a name, but sometimes I don't, and that's usually the reason. So yes, they can keep their names from you for a good reason. Andrew asks, can guides keep their names from you? Okay, so this is the same question. My male guide is angelic, but hasn't told me his name yet. Yeah, that might be a good reason. Angels do not have human names. They might give us a name to make it easier for us, but sometimes they don't want to make it easier for us. All right. Okay, you asked that question 5 times. Then Sandy says, what about teleporting in my mind's eye? I'm not sure what you mean by that. What's your question exactly? If that's real, or let me know what your question really is. Marion says, I've always been aware of spirit guides, but haven't made the connection. That doesn't make any sense. Sorry. But like, if you've been aware of your guides, you have made the connection, right? Otherwise you wouldn't be aware. I reconnected with a friend, and I hadn't seen in years, and her 10-year-old daughter was talking about spirit guides randomly out of the blue. Should I believe that my spirit guides arranged this conversation, which later had me find your website? Yes. Not in the sense that they like take the girl and push her towards you and tell her like talk about spirit guides. Not like this, but they can definitely turn your attention to things like this and make you pay special attention, so that you pay attention. Definitely. Yes, that's totally possible. Yeah. Ed says, I recently had an iguana show up as a spirit guide and insist that it is basilisk. Oh, wait, basilisk. Do spirit guides ever self-aggrandize like that? Or is it more likely that it showed up in a form that I would recognize? Yes. I think that's an awesome story. It's very cute. But yes, I've actually seen similar things. Again, when I do spirit guide readings, sometimes. Oh, here's an example from my own life. A little bit different, but so I once did a ceremony on my own, and and this was before I became a professional spirit guide reader and all that, but I did a little ceremony on my own, and I felt a spirit come close, and I got a little bit scared. And I usually don't get scared when spirits are around, but this was one of the few times that I did. I got a little bit scared, and I was like, okay, so if you are one of my guides or a friendly spirit, then you can come closer, but you have to give me a sign that it's okay. Otherwise, I want you out. And so then I got like an image in my mind's eye of Winnie the Pooh. And then I had to laugh, because then I knew this was my spirit guide. And my spirit guide, one of them is, I call him Grandfather Bear. And because I got scared, he showed me like himself as Winnie the Pooh. So I would understand bear. Oh, it's Grandfather Bear. But he showed like himself in a form that wouldn't scare me. So that is oftentimes the case, that they will give you like themselves as an image that is not scary for you to not freak out when they show up. So that might be a reason that he showed himself as an iguana, but then said, I'm actually a basilisk. I think it's a very cute story. So yeah, that might be it. And also, yes, you're right. Like sometimes they show themselves in forms that are easy for us to understand, because we don't actually have the reference for what they really are. For example, angels often show themselves in human form with wings. That makes it clear for us, oh, that's an angel. Do they really look like this and use their wings to fly around the universe? No, definitely not. But again, they take a form that makes sense to us, that doesn't scare us, so they can connect with us and communicate with us. Andrew asks, what does it mean if a yellow orb sits on over your right eye, then changes color? What does it mean to you? That's the first question. What did you feel when that happened? What kind of message did you think it had? Let me know, because you know better. Each one of you knows better what your experiences mean than I do. It's just that you don't trust yourself, and you're putting your trust in me because you think I know better. But honestly, you know best because you were there. You know if you had like a little shiver, and you know if it felt real. You know what it means. You really do. Trust yourself. So, but if you want my opinion, it's probably, let me think. I would think it has something to do with your sight, but not your clairvoyance, your psychic sight, that something is changing there, that maybe it's getting stronger or something along those veins. But again, ask yourself first. Michelle says, if you hear a voice and are not mentally ill, is it always your spirit guides? No, it could also be other kinds of spirits. Yes, there are all kinds of spirits out there. Not all of them are spirit guide material, and definitely not all of them are your spirit guides. So you could hear, I don't know, maybe you're walking over a piece of land and you hear a voice, be it objectively outside of you or subjectively in your own mind. And that voice says, move to the right. And then that might not be your spirit guide. It might be a nature spirit that lives there and is trying to protect a plant that you might have stepped on. This is something that actually happened to me once. It was in the middle of the night. I was somewhere out there. Again, we were doing like a kind of ritual. I was out there. I was standing somewhere, and I suddenly hear like, it was really cute little tiny voice. I heard it inside my mind, not outside of my mind, but it was very clear that it wasn't me. It was like some kind of spirit being talking. And the spirit voice said, please take a step to the right. And I was like, okay. And I did. And I looked around. I didn't see anything. I had no clue what this was about, but I remembered the spot that it happened. And the next day, when there was light again, I went back, stood in the same spot, and looked around. And there was this little tiny, like, plant with a beautiful purple flower that must have just like opened up. And I knew it was that little plant that asked me to, or the spirit that lived in the plant that asked me to please not step on it. And so that wasn't my spirit guide. That was like a nature spirit. And so, yeah, all kinds of spirits can talk to us. Next question. Lisa asked, do your spirit guides change from time to time? Yes. Well, we have a team of core guides that can be 2, maybe 3, depending on each person is different, that stay with us our entire lives. But then there's like other guides, I call them experts. They come in to help us with certain situations in life. My go-to example is like, let's say you're going through a divorce and there are experts that come in, like for example, an angel that will help you through that phase and help you heal until you're fine, and then they go and help someone else. So in that sense, yes, they can change. Sandy says, my wife came to me in middle of night, and suddenly in my spirit, I followed her to living room, sat on sofa, and she said she was sorry for suicide. Yes, that sounds very real. And there's 2 ways that this could have happened, in the sense that she could have come as a spirit, and it was, how do I explain this? Like it can have happened like on a purely spiritual level, or it can have happened on an astral level, in the sense that she came in on the astral plane and your astral self left your physical body and actually went into your living room. Or it could have been on the spiritual plane that you were still like sleeping in bed also your astral part was still sleeping, and it was like this conversation happened on a spiritual level. But that really doesn't matter. The point is, this sounds very real, and that's a beautiful experience that you had. Pat says, would you say it's easier to connect with your spirit guides opposed to your own? Wait, I don't understand that. Would you say it's easier to connect to your spirit guides to your own I am presence that knows all? And if not, oh, connect to your spirit guides opposed to your I am presence. Now I get it. And if not, what would be the benefit to connecting to your spirit guides over your I am presence for guidance? Got it. No, it's easier to connect to your I am presence or higher self or whatever you want to call it, because it's connected to you. Spirit guides are not you. They are not part of you. They are different beings. They have their own things going on. But your I am presence and your higher self is you. It's your higher self in the sense that it's the part of you that's not incarnated, that's like in the spiritual realms. So you don't actually have to do anything to connect to it, because it's you. So you are already connected. There's no way to disconnect from your higher self or your I am presence. The reason you want to connect with your spirit guides is the same as, let's say, you could ask the same question here in the physical. Why should I connect to other people if I can just sit by myself in my living room and meditate? Well, you can definitely do that, but there is something to be said about connecting with other people, because for fun, for learning experiences, for seeing things through a different perspective, for wisdom that you don't have, for all kinds of reasons. The same goes for your spirit guides, because connecting with other beings helps you to grow. That's the reason. Ed says, my spirit guides make me laugh all the time. I take that as a sign that it's coming from them, since I think I wouldn't make myself laugh like that. Yes, absolutely. If like that's when the message is positive and makes you feel good, then yes, it's your guides. I hear that this is common from other people too. Do you consider it makes you laugh as a sign? Yes, definitely. Again, when I do readings, and sometimes they get really deep and a little bit personal, and can get serious, and then usually they will make us laugh right after, just to like clear the atmosphere and raise the vibration again. So yes, and spirit guides, all of them have a great sense of humor. I can definitely attest to that. Yes. Karen says, do spirit guides sometimes use your pets to convey a message? It sounds like they can use your environment to communicate with us. Yes, they can. Absolutely. Again, it's not that they make your pet do stuff. It's more that your pet does something and they make you pay attention to it. So yes, absolutely. Just like, for example, you're at the library and a book falls off the shelf, and that's exactly, and it opens exactly on the page, it gives you the message that you needed to hear. Same thing. Or you are sitting somewhere and you overhear a conversation, and that's exactly what you needed to hear that day. All these things can be orchestrated by your guides. Gita says, when I ask to feel my spirit guide's energy in my right palm, I feel electric pulses. It is her, right? Probably because you asked your guide and then you get that. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Okay. I think I can't answer all the questions. Ooh, we're already out of time. Okay, I'm going to answer one more question and then we're going to do readings. Connecting with my spirit guide meditation. Then I had an encounter with a trickster spirit. Things started to disappear and reappear in the strangest places. Sometimes I thought that there was a great humor involved. I did not pay attention to get these encounters go away. But I have never felt in danger. What do you think about that? Should I start again to meditate and call for a connection with my spirit guide? What can I do in case I don't want a certain spirit guide? So, like the thing when things disappear and reappear, that's usually nature guides, nature spirits. And there's nothing wrong with that unless it bothers you. If it bothers you, then tell them that you do not want this to happen. And if this is connected to a message, ask them to give you the message in a different way. If they still keep doing it and it bothers you, then they are not your spirit guides, because again, spirit guides do not do anything that bothers you. At least, well, they might be like parents in the sense that they bother you a little bit to like go in the right direction, but not in the sense to that they actually harm you or do things that are not good for you. So if things are disappearing that are really important to you, first try asking them to give you the message in a different way. If that doesn't help, then clear your house. And you can Google that, like clearing your house, getting rid of spirits, that kind of stuff. Was there anything else to the question? Should I start again to meditate? You should always meditate. Regular meditation is super important to connect with our guides, because in the meditative state, we go into the alpha state, and it's much easier to connect with your guides when you're in the alpha state instead of the beta state. Beta state is when like our normal state and our minds is busy and we're totally focused on like the physical. They can't really connect with you like that. It's very hard for them, because basically you're on an energy level that's here, they are over here, and it's hard to get together. So if you meditate, you basically raise your vibration, they can lower their vibration a little bit, and then you can connect. So meditation always. Also because in meditation they can again come close to you and you can get used to each other, and you will learn about them even just by sitting in meditation and asking them to come and join you and sit with you. You don't have to talk to them, you don't have to ask them any questions, just sit with them, and you will automatically get used to their energy, and that brings you closer. Just like if you sit with a friend and you don't talk, you just sit next to each other and you read a book, that still creates more intimacy between you and your friend, right? That's the same principle. All right, guys, I'm sorry I can't answer all the questions. Please come back next week if you have more questions, and I'll be happy to answer them. We are going to do mini readings now. So again, if you're on YouTube or on Facebook watching this, come on over. Find the link in the description, either below or in up or below in the description. Click the link, come on over here, because only here can I give you a reading. I can't monitor all the social networks at the same time, unfortunately. All right, so here's how it works. Go back to the ask a question section where you just asked your questions, and type newbie, nothing else. I don't want to see any full sentences. I don't want to see anything. And only if you've never had a reading from me before. Anyone who's ever had a reading, sorry, newbies come first. I can't do readings for everyone, unfortunately. So if you've never had a reading from me before, find the ask a question section and type newbie. Again, here on like laptop, desktop, it literally says ask a question. If you're on your phone, there's a little box at the bottom with a question mark in it. Click on that. All right, and while you do that, there are a few things that you need to know. First of all, what I learned from my guides is there are 7 types of guides. First of all, I have my own definition of guides. My definition is that any being from the higher realms that's connected to us in unconditional love and wants to help us on our spiritual path or day-to-day life is a spirit guide. And there are the 7 types. So you have angels, you have ancestors, you have nature beings like elves, fairies, etc. Star beings, otherwise known as aliens, but includes also more than just the typical aliens that we know from scary Hollywood movies. Ascended masters who were once human beings but left the reincarnation cycle because they reached enlightenment. Deities, gods and goddesses, and animal guides. So these are the 7 types of spirit guides that can come through for you in a reading. We also mentioned before, we all have a team of guides. So the one that has the most important message will be the one that steps forward. And this is the most important part. You get the message that you need to hear, which might be different from what you want to hear or expect to hear. So keep an open mind. All right, one more time. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, find the link in the description, click the link, come over here, and because only here can I give you a reading. All right, let's see. And I can't do readings for everyone, so I'm gonna randomly pick someone, and I'll trust that spirit picks the people that need a reading today. Don't be disappointed. Don't complain. I just can't do everyone. If you haven't gotten one yet, if you don't get one today, here's 2 things you can do. Number 1, come back next time. Number 2, listen to the messages that I'm giving to the people that will come on screen in a minute. Oftentimes, our spirit guides will work in mysterious ways because oftentimes a bunch of you will need to hear the same message. So if the message that I give to one person feels like it's also for you, trust that it is and accept it as a message from your guide to you, even though I'm giving it to someone else. All right. So to do a reading, I'm going to invite you on screen. You will get a little notification that says Jamila invited you on screen, and you say yes, and then you'll appear here with me, and then I can do a reading for you. All right, I'm gonna invite Ed. Sorry, that was the wrong button. Okay. I'm going to invite Lisa. I'm going to invite Karen. And I'm just going to keep going until someone appears. And I can probably only do 3, maybe 4 readings. I'm going to invite Michelle. And Maureen. No one here yet? There we go. Awesome. Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Can you hear me?
I can.
Perfect. I can hear you too. Where are you from?
I'm the one from northern Minnesota.
Oh, awesome. All right. I've never been there.
Oh, it's beautiful. I live near Canada, but in the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness.
Oh, wow. That sounds awesome. I think the closest I have been was maybe Milwaukee.
Okay.
Never been close.
Little further east, but
yes. All right. So we also have Karen here. Karen, I'm going to mute you for now. And I'm going to start with Lisa. All right, Lisa. I'm going to close my eyes and I have to tune in. So it's going to take me a few seconds and then I'll tell you who or what I see. Lisa, I see 2 different beings around you. Definitely a nature being, but also animal guides, and it's both are not just one but several. I'm gonna go with the animal guide because that's the one who wants to step forward. Let's see. It's a dog. And by the way, I have to mention this, animal guides are not like the souls of individual animals, but the spirit of the entire species. So it's dog that's around you. This one shows itself as like I'm not sure what they're called. Like they're this one is brown and they have like a curved back and they have like really long spindly legs. And I think they're like really good runners. I'm not sure what they're called. If someone knows, let me know in the chat or let Lisa know in the chat. And they have like these long snouts also.
A greyhound?
Yes. Greyhound or similar. Yes.
Or a wolf, a wolfhound?
I'm not sure what they look like.
Okay.
Could be either. And this is one of the one of the cases where they give me an image, but I don't know all these different like species
Names,
of, or
species.
yeah. So that's all I can give you, and they can only work with what's in my mind. So
Gotcha.
yeah, but it's either or. So but again, this one is definitely brown. Let me see. It's telling me that you definitely love animals and animals feel attracted to you. Would that make sense to you?
Yes.
It's also, and I'm not sure if this is literally or just like in a sense symbolically, but it's showing me that either you have done voluntary work with animals or donated to something like this, or you just really love animals, and if you found like a wounded animal, you would definitely take it in. But there's, what I'm getting is like there you have a big heart for animals. You like them sometimes more than humans. Would you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. So the connection to animals with you is also because you don't always trust humans, but you know that you can trust animals in the sense that animals don't lie, they're not backstabbing, they don't do all that weird shit that humans do. So that's why you like them, or that's one of the reasons why you like them. They're always honest, they always give you like their honest opinion in the sense that if like an animal likes you, it will come to you. If it doesn't like you, it won't. They're telling me, or, and this is interesting because your guide is telling me, but it's actually like a group, because I'm also seeing a bird. There's so that's why I said they, but like your animal guides are telling me that they want you to know that they guide you in life. So when you are out somewhere and you see an animal that catches your attention, that does something weird, that usually means there's a message in it for you. And so if you're out, for example, and you see a bird that catches your attention and it goes in a certain direction, you have a feeling that maybe you should follow it, do it, because there is something there for you. Also, they act as your protectors. And they're constantly around you and trying to guide you. So pay attention to real life animals and what they're doing. They're saying they've been trying to get your attention a few times, but you weren't sure. Almost like you kind of thought something was weird going on, but you kind of also thought, well, maybe I'm just going crazy, and you didn't really listen. Would you understand that? Does that make sense?
Yes, but I usually think I'm pretty tapped in, so I'll
Good.
pay even more attention.
Yes,
Mhm,
pay more attention.
mhm,
Because that's what they're saying. Like there must have been at least one situation where you didn't follow. But
mhm, mhm.
let's see. Is there anything else? They're also saying that being around animals helps you to come back to yourself.
Mm,
So
mhm,
being around humans sometimes makes you um, lose yourself a little bit. And being with animals makes you come back to yourself, to your natural self. It
mhm,
kind of like brings you back into your body. It reconnects you with your own truth. So when you feel like scattered, when you feel like you're not sure which direction to take in life, when you're not sure what choices, what decisions to make, hang out with animals, because that will help you become clear again, be back with yourself, and make the right decisions for yourself.
mhm.
And this guide, the dog, is actually with you at night and sleeps like on your bed, like by your feet.
Mm, mm, mm.
And there's also something about, wait, there's one more thing. What is it? Okay, it's saying that it's a he, by the way, it's a male. He says that sometimes it would be beneficial for you to make decisions a little bit faster, because sometimes you overthink things, and to really just go with your intuition and then see what happens, instead of like weighing things 100 times, because that just confuses you, and then you get more confused and more confused and more confused. So listen to your instincts and just like go with it, and practice doing that, because he says then things will go faster in life for you. Like you will reach the things that you want, your goals, your dreams, a little bit faster.
Mm.
You're kind of like holding yourself back with that. Yeah, and then that's it
Cool.
for, yeah, for this mini reading. That's what they wanted you to know. And there's
Beautiful.
also the nature spirits that are around you, and they help you make magic. They do something similar in the sense that in nature, especially in nature, they will show you where to go, and follow them, because that will bring you to good places.
Beautiful.
They will bring you, and this is like literally what they're saying, they will bring you treasures. I don't know if that's like symbolic, or maybe you're actually going to find something, but that's what they're saying.
Mhm.
All right. Yeah. All right. I
Thank you.
hope that supports you. Thank you for coming.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So let's see. We have Karen here. Karen, let me unmute you. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Jamila.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Oh, look, we have a cat there. Oh, yeah,
Yeah, the
that's okay.
backside.
All right. Let's see. All right, Karen, I'm not sure yet who's here for you, but I do see interesting. I think this is about a past life. It might be about this life, but I think it's a past life. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mhm,
I see you as a nurse in a past life. Again, it might be this life. Are you a nurse in this life?
mhm.
Okay.
Occupational therapist. I'm
Yes. Okay.
retired,
No
but
problem. Um, there is a Yes,
to
that
work in
makes
health
sense.
settings.
Because also definitely in a past life, because I see you, yeah, in white, in a nurse like dress, clothing.
Mhm.
I can't quite say when this was, but um, there's definitely like a whole history throughout several lives that you dedicated to helping others, healing others, um, and serving others.
Mhm.
And I think it goes all the way back to I want to say the Middle Ages. I think I know that's what they're showing me, is that you've been what we would call a witch back in the day, um, and that you definitely worked with like plants and herbs and these kinds of things. You knew how to heal not just humans but also animals.
Wow.
And you've had a bad experience back in that time, because that was the time that witches weren't treated very kindly. Um, so even though in this lifetime you again worked helping others, you don't always, the same as Lisa, trust humans. Would you understand that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm
And
very drawn to the occupations that you're telling me.
yeah,
It's have a high
yeah.
interest.
Um, and I still don't know who's telling me all this, but from what I understand is that, oh, also, um, got it. Oftentimes when the spirit guide doesn't show themselves and I just kind of like see them in the dark and I only see a few eyes, a pair of eyes, that's usually their symbol for letting me know that the person I'm talking to, you, is someone who's a quieter person and sometimes even shy and more withdrawn and definitely doesn't like to be the center of attention. Does that make sense for you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then when I say it, they usually step into the light and I can see it. So let's see. Right. Okay. Here we go. So this is an angel. It's a female angel. She's saying that you're very connected to the angelic realm, that your energy is similar to the angelic realm. And that's why you have this like calling to serve humans in that way, by healing in different modalities. Your angel is saying, however, that it is time that you also pay attention to yourself, um,
Mhm.
and that you really take care of yourself, and that you give yourself the same kind of attention and healing and love that you give to others. And she's saying you have a hard time with that, and you also have a hard time saying no. And it's time that you learn that you learn to set boundaries that will also help you with um, learning to trust humans more, because what was in the past was in the past. And usually when we hear about past lives, they give us that information because there is something that can help us in this lifetime. So the knowledge that you had this past life where you were treated badly for helping others has an influence on your life today. And by knowing that happened in the past, you can free yourself from that.
Mhm.
And it's important that you learn to set boundaries and that you learn to almost like self-defense, because when you know how to defend yourself against humans that are like crashing your boundaries, you will
Mhm.
feel more safe with yourself and in your own space, and therefore also safe to interact with humans on a different level. So go and look up, like on Google, psychic self-defense, and pick one that you like, one method. There are a million out there. Pick one that speaks to you and practice it. Practice it every day. For example, one thing you can do is in the mornings, especially if you leave the house, visualize that you're putting on armor, or visualize that you put yourself into a bubble of pink light, if that feels right, or visualize that you have ask like an animal guide to come with you, like a strong animal guide, like a bear or a tiger. Call it in. Pick something, one of these methods, or find another one that makes you feel safe, and do it every morning, especially if you leave the house. And that will help you to create boundaries, better boundaries, to make you feel safer with other humans. And when you feel safer with other humans, you can also serve them better, because it's hard to serve something that you fear a little bit. And forgive, do a little ritual, forgive like what happened in that past lifetime. These people didn't know any better. And forgive yourself for letting this like hinder you from fully shining your light, because that's really what it is. Like, this past life really made you like shrink your light a little bit and hide a little bit, so you wouldn't be hurt again. And now it's time to like shine your light and let it out and be yourself and be like, this is who I am, here I am. Take up space. And your angel is here to help you do that. All right. I think that's all I can say for now.
I have one question. I have two, but I'll only ask one. Will I ever, or do we know where my OM cards are? OGHAM? They're the Irish trees.
Say again, what cards?
OGHAM. They're like tarot, but they're druid. They're based on the trees. They're Irish, Celtic.
Got it. Okay, I'll see if they have an answer. I'm not sure. What I'm getting is ask the nature spirits, because they know. This means that there must be nature spirits around you. Either like, I don't know if you have a garden or like a balcony or something, but somewhere there are plants, and around these plants there are nature spirits. Ask them.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the answer I'm getting. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, so let me see. I only did 2 readings, or was it 3? I don't know, but I'm already, well, let's do one more. I'm already over time. Actually, I can't. I forgot I have another meeting. I'm so sorry, guys. Sorry, but I have to go. We'll do more next time. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't get a reading, please don't be disappointed. Come back next time, and we will do more readings. So if you want a one-on-one reading with me, and that would be 60 minutes one-on-one, you can ask as many questions as you want. Of course, we would go into more detail, etc. Then again, click that green button below where it says follow your spirit guide's call, sign up for the waitlist, and you will get a 25% discount code that you can use right away. And if you want to be notified of when Spirit Guide Society opens and you want to join that community, also click that button and sign up for the wait list. And if you want like some spirit guide inspiration during the week, then you can follow me on Instagram, and that would be here. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming. It's been a pleasure. I always love doing these shows, and I hope to see you next week. All right. Stay safe. Bye.